MIT has decided to ban their class president after she delivered a speech on Thursday evening at an event where she condemned Israel for the genocide in Gaza. Now, I do want to go ahead and say this. I worked at MIT many years ago, and if someone would have told me that MIT would turn into this type of institution where they would forbid class presidents from attending commencement because they're calling out a genocide, I would have never believed it. I worked at MIT for a couple of years, and it was one of the more lenient, more, I would say, progressive universities that I've worked at. But things have definitely changed over the years. What exactly did she say that was so problematic? Because I listened to her speech and there's nothing that she said there that was incorrect. But you have to know, and this is where a lot of people may not be aware, you have to know that MIT has contracts. They have defense contracts with weapons manufacturers like Lockheed Martin. You have to know that it's not just MIT, that a lot of these even some of the public universities, as well as the private universities, have contracts with defense. They use them for the research. Something people may not be aware of or may not have known until after October 7th. And there was a spotlight put on this. We're going to listen to her speech. I want you to hear what she had to say. And then you tell me whether or not you think this was so problematic for speaking the truth that she should be banned from commencement. Let's go ahead and get into this clip here. Again, this is big news here in the Boston area where I live in Massachusetts. Listen to this.
It is no secret that at this time, academic institutions across the country are shrouded in a dark cloud of uncertainty. The question of what will happen next echoes in our minds, and there is a lot of fear in many of our hearts. We must remind ourselves that when we came to this institution, we dreamt of the opportunity to make an impact on humanity. We have been given the privilege of access to a place like this, to a community like this, and it is now time to make use of it.
Let's pause here for just a second. She's 100% correct. What you do have to know is that students at MIT are basically encouraged to go out and change the world, to make the world a better place. And the way that they go about doing that is through research, right? Through research, through scholarship, through fellowship. And that is what they're supposed to do. They inspire them to create, to invent, to try to make things better in the world. And now they are telling said students that, no, not when it comes to Israel. We don't want you to benefit or help or impact humanity in a positive way if it involves Israel. And it just goes against everything that MIT has stood for, at least it stood for when I worked there. That you're supposed to go out and discover, that you're supposed to go out and change the world for the better. But apparently, if that involves a genocide at the hands of Israel, they don't want you to do that. And not only do they not want you to do that, they don't want you to talk about it. Let's continue.
We cannot allow fear to keep us from doing that. You have faced the obstacle of fear before, and you turned it into fuel to stand up for what is right. You showed the world that MIT wants a free Palestine.
And you can hear the cheers there. And then obviously, I think that there's a Palestinian flag right there behind her. Yeah, and it's true because MIT was one of the campuses that had the encampments as well. The students were advocating for freeing the Palestinian people into the genocide in Gaza. She's 100% correct. Now, the problem here, of course, with the institutions that exist and people in power. And you have to remember the donors, people who donate to MIT, is that they don't want you to say free Palestine. They don't want the people in Gaza to be free. They don't care about those people. They really want Israel to expand their interests. They want Israel to take over more areas in the Middle East. These are things like some people may not say in public, but they're all on board with this project that is the greater Israel, right? Because a lot of the politicians will tell you that Israel is the one place in the Middle East where there is a democracy, even though Israel doesn't have a constitution. It's not about democracy. It's really about protecting the interests of the U.S., which involves resources there. There are a lot of resources along the shore of Gaza. So that is why a lot of the politicians and also some of the elites, they want this greater Israel project to continue because they want access to the resources and the possible business ventures that would develop there as a result of that. They see not just Gaza as an issue, not just the West Bank as an issue, but to be honest with you, all of those Arab countries in the Middle East, to Israel, they look at that as you are in our way. That includes Iran, that includes Jordan, that includes Egypt, and that also includes Saudi Arabia. So you see all these other Arab countries that are there in the Middle East that are not really pushing back against Israel the way that they should, that have not come to the defense of the Palestinian people the way that they should. They're on the chopping block too. But they believe that because they have this vested interest and this relationship with the United States government, that Israel would never try to do that to them. Oh, no. It's only a matter of time. Israel wants the entire region. That's what the whole Zionist project is about. It's not just about them maintaining this tiny state of Israel and the landmass that they have now. The Zionist project is to expand and take over the entire area because they believe that it belongs to them. It's an expansion, more colonialism.
Last spring, MIT's undergraduate body and graduate student union voted overwhelmingly to cut ties with the genocidal Israeli military. You called for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, and you stood in solidarity with the pro-Palestine activists on campus. You face threats, intimidation, and suppression coming from all directions, especially your own university officials. But you prevailed because the MIT community that I know would never tolerate a genocide.
I agree to that. I agree 100%. Like I said, out of all the universities that I've worked at in the Boston area, so MIT, Harvard, BU, and Northeastern, they are the ones that were the most, I would say, progressive. They were the ones that were more passionate about, human rights and humanitarian aid and need across the world. So I agree with her 100% there. So, kudos to her for being so brave to tell the truth right here at that event Thursday evening in front of everyone. She should be applauded. She shouldn't be condemned.
Right now, while we prepare to graduate and move forward with our lives, there are no universities left in Gaza. We are watching Israel try to wipe Palestine off the face of the earth, and it is a shame that MIT is a part of it. The Israeli occupation forces are the only foreign military that MIT has research ties with. This means that Israel's assault on the Palestinian people is not only aided and abetted by our country, but our school. As scientists, engineers, academics, and leaders, we have a commitment to support life.
And you can hear some hecklers there in the crowd, but she's 100% correct there. Again, this is one of the things that when I worked there, I didn't know that, but I don't think a lot of people did because it's not like it was, out there in the open. But yeah, it is the only foreign, and I'm glad she said foreign military, right? Because a lot of people are trying to say, well, Israel is the United States. No, it's not. It is the only foreign military that MIT does, support. And yes, that is a problematic if that military is committing a genocide. Here's a little tidbit I want to let you know if you are not aware. What some people may not realize is that believe it or not, there are Israeli professors at some of these institutions. There are Israeli faculty members that work at MIT, that work at Harvard, that worked at BU. So just keep in mind when we talk about like the crackdown that was against those university presidents when they were being, basically forced to resign, in a sense, and that outcry and where all that came from, just keep in mind, it wasn't just billionaires like Bill Ackman. Oftentimes the call comes from inside of the house. So you also have Israeli professors that work at these institutions that very much support the Zionist regime, who have connections outside of these universities, people that they can call on and communities that they can call on and say, this is what's happening at the school. We need to put a stop to it. People are well connected. But she's right. And MIT should be ashamed. How is it that the same university that sat there and had, seminars about how, what the oppression and all that what Black people have gone through, like in this country, like when I worked there, they had different seminars about, what happened to the Black community, what needs to happen to make things better for a Black community and all those types of things. How is it that that same university can totally be fine with genociding an entire ethnic group of people? Because you make yourself look very hypocritical. And I said this before, if you stand against the oppression of Black Americans, if you stand against what happened to Black Americans, you stand against slavery, you stand against Jim Crow laws, you stand against all those things, but you support what Israel is doing to the Palestinian people. No. We are not allies. We are not friends, because that's hypocrisy. You can't be against oppression of one group and defend the oppression of another group.
Support aid efforts and call for an arms embargo and keep demanding now as alumni that MIT cuts the ties. Now I invite you all to join me in the tradition of turning the ring. Please raise your brass rat or grad rat bearing hands, and as you lift it off your fingers, notice that the beaver is no longer facing you. It is now facing the world. This is a world that we will be entering with an immeasurable responsibility. We will carry with us the stamp of the MIT name, the same name that is directly complicit in the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people. And so we carry with us the obligation to do everything we can to stop it. Class of 2025, you are MIT. Pressure is nothing to you. I know you will take it head on, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you, and congratulations again.
Very, very brave of her to stand up and do that.
Okay, listen, folks. At MIT, we value freedom of expression, but today's about the graduates, so it's time for me to charge you all. So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Governor Healy, who I'm so happy to have here. Okay.
I just wanted you guys to hear some of the comments from the crowd.
Hey, folks, there is a time and a place to express yourselves, and you will have many, many years to do it. Let's talk today about our graduates.
And Governor Healy is sitting there behind them, I guess, as well. And for people who don't know, Boston does give, I think it's about $10 million last time I checked, $10 million to to Israel. We got people here in Boston that don't have a place to live, that are barely making it, can't afford to take care of their families, but we're sending $10 million to Israel. Everyone should call that out. Everyone. So they went on to ban her. MIT bans class president from graduation commencement after pro-Palestinian speech. Mega Vermeeri called out MIT for having research ties with the Israeli army and aiding and abetting the country with its assault on the Palestinian people. And like I said, kudos to her, because especially MIT, a university that has a lot of international students, you cannot sit up there and pretend like these things are not happening, in my opinion. MIT banned the 2025 class president from Friday's graduate commencement ceremony after she delivered a pro-Palestinian speech at an event Thursday. The university said in a statement Friday, without naming the student, that the woman delivered a speech at Thursday's one MIT commencement ceremony that was not the one provided in advance. So, can you blame her? Like, obviously, right? While that individual had a scheduled role at today's undergraduate degree ceremony, she was notified that she would not be permitted at today's events. This is coming from Kimberly Allen, who's a spokesperson at the university. MIT supports free expression, but stands by its decision, which was in response to the individual deliberately and repeatedly misleading commencement organizers and leading a protest from the stage, disrupting an important institute ceremony. So let me go ahead and just let's cut the BS here. This isn't about her having a different speech than what the speech was that was planned. This is about her criticizing Israel. As I told you before, a lot of these institutions have Israeli faculty members that 100% support the Zionist project that is happening in Israel, and that is what this is really about. Point blank. Now, here's the funny thing about all this. First of all, no, she should not have been banned. Here's the funny thing about all of this, though. This honestly, and Eric, my producer, and I were talking about this. This would not have even been a story if MIT didn't choose to make it a story. You see, because after she gave that speech, if MIT wouldn't have banned her from commencement, this would have never been a story. Most people would have never even known about the speech that she made. But because MIT decided to ban her, they made it a news story, and now everyone knows about it. In other words, they brought more attention to what she said by banning her. How often do you get to hear about someone's speech at the event prior to commencement? So they made it a story. This would have honestly just kind of been swept under the rug, and most people would have never even known about what she said had they not decided to ban her. I'm greatly embarrassed by what MIT has become. And it's not just MIT. I mean, it's Boston University, it's Harvard, it's all of them. I'm very much embarrassed by what they have become, because the MIT that I worked at would have never supported this. The MIT that I worked at was an advocate for humanitarian rights. When I left higher ed, I honestly, like the first month or so, I contemplated if I had made the right decision. It's apparent that I did. Because if I didn't leave on my own, and given my position about Israel and Gaza and the West Bank, if I didn't leave on my own, I probably would have been pushed out, or I probably would have been fired because of my moral position and because I'm not quiet about it. Sometimes things happen for a reason. Something to think about. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.